Everyone thought she was gone. A silent patient with no next of kin, forgotten in a hospital room that smelled like bleach and missed birthdays. But Eleanor Whitaker didn't die. She just stopped answering. The first thing I remember was the flatline. That hollow, haunting wail from the monitor. Then the crackle of electricity in my chest as the paddles brought me back. I didn't know what day it was. I didn't know where I was. But I knew something was wrong. My mouth was dry, sandpaper and regret. I couldn't even whisper. I saw a nurse. Carlos. His name badge was slightly crooked, his eyes kind, but full of fear, like he hadn't expected me to wake up at all. I blinked hard and tried to form words. Where are my girls? He placed a warm hand on my shoulder. Just rest, Mrs. Whitaker. But I wasn't resting. I was waiting. That night, after shift change, I heard him on the phone. She stabilized, he said quietly. Yes, ma'am. Conscious now. Would you like to speak to her? A pause. Then softer. Understood. Just thought you'd want to know. I blinked up at the ceiling, fluorescent light flickering like a lie that couldn't decide if it should reveal itself. That call, it was Kelsey. I knew it in my bones. My own daughter didn't want to speak to me. I lay there for 8 days in ICU. No visitors. No flowers. No phone calls. Only the slow ticking of machines and the colder ticking of realization. When I was finally discharged, the only one who wheeled me out was Carlos, and he looked almost ashamed to do it. I came home in a hospital transport van and had to sit outside for 20 minutes. The key hidden in the ceramic frog was gone. Taken. When the door finally opened, it wasn't Kelsey. It wasn't Aaron. It was Rick, my son-in-law, holding a Starbucks cup and guilt in his eyes. Oh, you're back early, he stammered. Back early? The look on his face told me everything I needed to know. Inside, the air felt unfamiliar. Cold, though it was summer. Furniture was moved. Walls half-painted. My wedding photos boxed and pushed into a corner like junk mail. And on the dining table, a real estate flyer. My house. My name. But someone else's dream. Charming southern home, it read. Ideal for young families. I hadn't agreed to any sale. Hadn't signed a thing. Then I saw it. A file folder on the kitchen counter. Power of attorney. My signature. Dated 2 years ago. Back when I had a small surgery. Back when they said, just a precaution, Mom. They had activated it while I was unconscious. And they had started clearing me out. I collapsed onto the floor. My legs wouldn't hold me. For a long while I didn't move. Until I saw Erin's old iPad charging near the pantry. Out of instinct more than hope, I picked it up. She hadn't logged out of her messages. And that's when I saw it. House goes on MLS Monday. If she's not home yet, we'll start assisted living intake. Let's be honest. Mom was never good at boundaries. That was Kelsey. My daughter. My flesh. They weren't waiting for me to come home. They were hoping I wouldn't. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. I just stood up. I opened the pantry and pulled out the old shoebox where I kept emergency cash. Envelopes wrapped in rubber bands. Then I found the password ledger. A beat-up yellow notepad from 1998 where I'd written every PIN, account, and login I'd ever used. They thought I was frail. They forgot who raised them. The next morning, I waited until Rick left. Off to whatever errand he pretended to have. Then I walked into the guest room. Or what used to be the guest room. Now it was a staging area. Half my clothes folded. Some in donation bags. Drawers empty. They hadn't even asked what I wanted to keep. This wasn't about care. This was erasure. I took the iPad again and kept reading. Aaron had texted. Once Mom's house sells, we'll finally have room to breathe. Room to breathe? From what? From the woman who worked 2 jobs after their father died? From the one who took on Rick's debt when his business collapsed? Who babysat the grandkids every summer while they partied in Cabo? I sat at the table and looked closer at the power of attorney. It wasn't the limited one I remembered. It was a broader one, signed while I was recovering from hip surgery, high on morphine. I remembered Kelsey saying it was for insurance stuff, and me scribbling my name. They were using that now, to dismantle everything I built. I called James Pute. He had been my student once, years ago. Now a lawyer with his own firm. He listened quietly as I spoke. When I finished, he said, "You're not the first, Ellie, but we can fight this." He had me come in the next morning. He confirmed what I needed to hear. They can't sell the house without explicit consent. You still have time if you act now. And I did. I had James revoke the power of attorney, reinstate my legal control, and file notice with the county. We relisted the house. Under my name. My terms. I didn't want to save it. I wanted to empty it before they did. That night, I stood in the doorway of the living room, where the Christmas tree used to sit. I looked at the faint indentation in the carpet where the couch had pressed down for 20 winters. "This is the last time I look back," I whispered. They weren't my family anymore. They were strangers in familiar skin. And I wasn't going to wait for them to finish erasing me. James moved fast. In 3 days, the house was mine again. The locks changed. The listing updated. Rick came by and saw the Ring camera activate. I told him, "Come get your tools before I donate them." He didn't argue. Just grabbed them and left the gate open. Like the coward he's always been. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Not even James. I sold everything but a few keepsakes. Frank's watch. A small box of childhood drawings. A single photo of the girls when they were still mine. The house sold in 11 days. Cash buyer. No contingencies. I walked into the bank, closed every joint account, opened a new one under my grandmother's maiden name. Nora Whitman. The Corolla was my final belonging. Dusty. Undesirable. And perfect. The night before I left, I sat alone in the empty living room on a folding chair. I ate a peanut butter sandwich on a paper plate and wrote 2 letters. One for each daughter. I didn't scold them. I just wrote, "You taught me who you really are. Thank you for the education." Then I left them on the counter. I unplugged the fridge. I took the house key out of the ceramic frog and drove north on I-95. No GPS. No destination. No forwarding address. I wasn't running. I was removing myself. There's a difference. By the time I hit the main state line, I had burned through a tank of gas, 3 diner coffees, and whatever grief was left in me. I pulled off in a town so small, its name was written on a library sign with peeling paint. Elkport. Voted friendliest place in Maine. Good enough. I paid cash for a week at a rundown motor inn. Introduced myself as Nora Whitman, retired librarian, widowed, childless, looking for a fresh start. Nobody asked questions. In towns that small, they assume you're running from something. And they respect you more for it. That's where I met Lily. A 27-year-old waitress with a tired smile and a daughter named Emma. Emma took to me like she'd been waiting. She started calling me Nana Nora by the second week. I didn't correct her. I watched her after school, helped her read, volunteered at the library 2 days a week. And for a moment, I started to feel human again. I kept a notebook under my pillow. Every lie I told, every detail of Nora's life. Just in case. But some nights I'd still wake up breathless. Not from fear, but from the thought that someone might knock on the door and call out my real name. I thought I was invisible. That's how I wanted it. To disappear not like a leaf in the wind, but like a stone into water. Quiet, decisive, final. And for a while it worked. 2 months passed in Elkport. Every morning, I'd open the trailer window just enough to hear the wind brushing through the marsh. No traffic. No buzz of machines. Just birds, crickets, and the occasional fisherman's curse carried on salt air. I spent mornings shelving books at the library. Afternoons with Emma, helping her read chapter books far above her grade level. Evenings helping Lily with chores she was too tired to do after back-to-back shifts. I wasn't anyone's mother anymore. But I was someone's Nana. And that was enough. Lily never asked where I came from. Maybe she guessed. Maybe she didn't care. But every time she handed me Emma's backpack or trusted me with her grocery list, it healed something in me that no apology ever could. I kept the notebook, my ledger of lies, under my pillow. Names, dates, backstories. It was second nature by now. No Charleston. No daughters. No ICU. Just Nora. Quiet hands. Calm voice. The woman who remembered birthdays and never raised hers. Then came Emma's birthday. She turned 7 on a Thursday. We threw a party in the VFW hall across from the diner. Cheap pizza, plastic streamers, mismatched chairs, and store cupcakes that were mostly frosting. Emma wanted me to sit next to her while she opened presents. One of the other moms, blonde, loud, always filming, asked us to scoot closer so she could get it all in the shot. Just a 30-second clip for Instagram. I smiled and handed Emma a card. Didn't think anything of it. 3 days later, Lily came rushing into the library holding her phone like it had exploded. "Nora, you need to see this." I took it from her and stared. The video. The one from the party. It had been reposted, by a mommy blog then a TikTok account. Someone had cross-referenced it with an old local news segment from Charleston. Split screen. Side by side. Found her. Grandma Ghost is alive and well in Maine. They zoomed in on my face. They tagged the town. They called me a legend. Or a villain, depending on who was commenting. Some said I was brave. Others said I was selfish. Most just said, I would have done the same damn thing. I felt my stomach drop, hard and sharp. Not fear. Something worse. Recognition. The kind that crawls up your spine and whispers, it's starting again. I sat down behind the returns desk. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Lily knelt beside me. Nora, what is this? What's going on? I looked her in the eyes. And for the first time since I'd arrived, I told the truth. My name's not Nora, I said. It's Eleanor. Eleanor Whitaker. And I didn't run away from a family. I escaped one. She didn't flinch. Didn't gasp. Didn't even blink hard. She just nodded. Okay, so what do we do now? I'd been waiting for someone to scream at me. But instead, I got a woman who understood. Who'd probably dreamed of disappearing once herself. That's when I knew something had changed. I wasn't grieving anymore. I wasn't rebuilding. I was living. But life has a funny way of testing how much you really mean it. The video hit 1 million views overnight. I was trending again for all the wrong reasons. Elder abuse victim disappears, reappears in Maine with new identity. Is Grandma Ghost the hero or the villain? Some called it justice. Others called it fraud. A few said I faked the stroke just to make them look bad. I turned off the Wi-Fi. Wiped Lily's old laptop. Stuffed everything I owned into 2 duffel bags. Just in case I had to vanish again. Then I saw it. A silver Toyota with South Carolina plates. Creeping past the library parking lot like a shark in shallow water. Erin. I knew her by the way she parked. Too perfect. Like she still thought neatness earned her gold stars. She stepped out wearing jeans and a cardigan, hair tied too tight, clutching a paper coffee cup like it might keep her upright. She didn't knock. Just stood by the entrance like a child waiting to be picked up. I watched her for 5 minutes. Then I stepped outside. She looked up. She didn't speak. Just stared. Then, softly, Mom, please don't walk away. Her voice cracked. I felt that old ache rise up. The reflex to comfort. To reach out. But I didn't move. She stepped closer. You're not a ghost. You're not done. You can come home. I looked her in the eyes. I already did the funeral, I said. You just weren't there. She flinched like I'd slapped her. She opened her mouth, maybe to defend herself, maybe to cry, but I cut her off. You left me in a hospital. To die. She started to say something. And when I didn't, I continued, you tried to erase me. I didn't. You knew exactly what you were doing. She broke then. Silent sobs. The kind that shake the spine. I let her stand in it. Drown in it. Then I said, I'm not coming back. I built something here. Without you. And I'm not trading peace for performance. She reached forward. A half step. A maybe hug. I didn't take it. I just walked away. Not angry. Not fast. Just done. 3 days later, a plain manila envelope showed up in the library's return slot. Addressed to Nora. I recognized the handwriting. Erin. But I didn't open it. I let it sit for 2 days on my table next to a half-finished crossword and a chipped mug of cold coffee. When I finally tore it open, it wasn't a letter from her. It was one from me. My own handwriting. Scrawled on the back of an ICU intake form. If I don't wake up, just know I forgave you already. But if I do, please come. I'm scared. I had written it while wired up, half-conscious. Begging for anyone, to care. Carlos must have slipped it into my belongings bag. They must have found it when digging through what was left. Now it was back in my hands like a ghost. I didn't cry. I didn't break. I read it once. Then again. Then folded it neatly and tucked it into my notebook. Right next to the page labeled, No contact piece. The next morning, Kelsey emailed the library. No greeting. No fluff. Just, I'd like to come. Just once. No Rick. No cameras. Just me. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then typed back. One visit. That's it. Bring the letter with you. When Lily came home that night, I told her Kelsey was coming. She didn't ask why. Just nodded. Do you want me there? No, I said. This one's mine. Kelsey arrived on a Saturday. Dressed like she was headed to church brunch. White blouse. Heels too thin for gravel. That same look in her eyes she used to get before test scores came out. Equal parts panic and performance. We met at the cemetery just outside town. I'd picked it for a reason. The dead don't interrupt. I was already sitting by Frank's headstone when she arrived. She handed me an envelope. Didn't sit too close. Didn't say hello. Inside the envelope was the ICU letter. The same one, but now covered in margin notes. Blue ink. Tiny handwriting. We didn't know it was that serious. I thought Erin would go, I was scared. I'm sorry, Mom. She looked down at her hands. I didn't know how to deal with watching you get weak, she whispered. I let the silence stretch until it begged for air. Then I said, I didn't need you to be strong. I needed you to show up. She nodded. I hate myself for it, she said. You think I sleep at night? I turned toward her. I think you sleep better than I did. She cried then. Ugly real crying. Like the version of her I remembered from her father's funeral. We were selfish, she said. We thought we had time. I looked at Frank's name carved into stone and said. So did he. I didn't forgive her. Not out loud. Not inside either. But I didn't scream. I didn't scold. I just told her the truth. You made a choice. Don't rewrite it now because the world saw it too. She asked if she could visit again. I said no. She asked if she could send letters. I told her to send them to Lily's P.O. box. Didn't promise I'd read them. When we stood to leave, she reached for a hug. I stepped back. Not cruel. Just clear. That part of me, I said. You already buried. The next morning, I sat at the tiny table in my trailer. One clean sheet of notebook paper. Same kind I'd used to track fake names, fake jobs, fake birthdays. But this letter wasn't for anyone else. It was for me. At the top I wrote, you did it. Not in celebration, but in truth. You got out. You stopped asking to be loved by people who only knew how to take. I listed everything I'd left behind. A house that had grown cold. A name that had been forgotten. A family that confused blood with ownership. Then I wrote what I had found. Quiet mornings. Real conversations. A child's laugh with no price tag. And a woman named Lily who saw me not as a burden, but as a beginning. I folded the letter and sealed it. On the front I wrote, Nora Whitman Keep. It went into the shoebox under the bed, next to Emma's drawings and the only photo I still had of Kelsey and Aaron. A photo taken long before they knew what the word inheritance meant. That afternoon, I trimmed the hedges outside Lily's porch. Emma came running down the path barefoot, holding a chipped seashell in both hands. Nana, look what I found. I didn't flinch at the name. Didn't feel like an imposter anymore. I smiled and said, perfect. Let's go build something with it. We sat on the beach for an hour, stacking shells, making shapes in the sand. She babbled about first grade and how she liked reading now. She didn't know it, but her laughter stitched things back together in me that even Carlos's kindness or James's loyalty couldn't reach. Not because everything was healed, but because I finally understood I didn't need to be healed to feel whole. I didn't check the news. Didn't open the mailbox. Didn't wonder if another letter would come. The story they tell about me now, the headlines, the hashtags, the reposted videos, it isn't mine anymore. It belongs to the world now. Let them chew it. Because here, in this place with no past and no expectations, I'm not Eleanor Whitaker, the woman they forgot. I'm not Grandma Ghost, the viral myth. I'm Nora. Just Nora. And this time, I choose who gets to call me anything else. 6 weeks after that final cemetery visit, I took a walk up the ridge trail just outside Elkport. Emma was at school. Lily was working the lunch shift. It was a Tuesday, gray and breezy. I carried with me the ICU letter, the original, and a smooth river stone I'd found on the edge of town. At the top of the ridge, overlooking the marsh, I buried the letter beneath that stone. Not out of anger. Not out of grief. Out of reverence. Because that version of me, the one who wrote it, deserved rest. I didn't say a prayer. I just whispered. You showed up. Even when they didn't. And that was enough. When I walked back down, the world hadn't changed. But I had.